Anger, one of the oldest emotions known to humanity, has the power to destroy. It has toppled empires, severed lifelong bonds, and poisoned countless minds. It strikes without warning, taking over before we even realize what's happening. A careless word, an insult, or a betrayal can ignite that fire within us, consuming our peace and clarity in mere moments. How often have we allowed others' words or actions to dictate our mood, to rob us of our inner calm? But what if there was a way to be unshakable, a way to never let anger control you again? This isn't about suppressing your emotions or avoiding conflict. It's about mastering them, developing a quiet inner strength that no insult, provocation, or betrayal can penetrate. This path to mastery begins with a simple but profound truth. No one can harm you without your consent. Think about that for a moment. The words or actions of others only have the power to affect you if you allow them to. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." Their insults are just noise carried by the wind. Their slights are merely interpretations we assign meaning to. The events themselves don't disturb us. It's our judgment of them that does. Change your judgment, and you take away their power. When someone tries to provoke you, pause and ask yourself, am I giving them control over my peace? The answer must always be no. Their actions should pass through you like the breeze, unable to touch the depths of your calm. Another key to mastering anger is understanding the difference between what you can control and what you can't. At the core of self-mastery is this Stoic principle: focus only on what you can control. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You cannot control the thoughts, words, or actions of others. You can't make someone be kind, honest, or fair. But you can control your response, your thoughts, and how you interpret the situation. Imagine standing in a rainstorm. Would you waste your energy cursing the sky for pouring down rain? Of course not. You'd accept it as something beyond your control. You'd find shelter or enjoy the rain for what it is. The same applies to how others behave. Their actions are not a reflection of you, but of themselves. Let them act as they will, and remind yourself, this is their choice, not mine. In that detachment lies freedom. When you stop reacting to things you cannot control, you protect your inner peace from being disturbed by external chaos. One of the most powerful tools in achieving this detachment is seeing others for who they truly are, without judgment or resentment. When someone wrongs you, pause and examine them with understanding, not anger. Marcus Aurelius advised, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They act like this because they cannot tell good from evil. People act according to their nature, their upbringing, and their struggles. If someone is rude or cruel, it's not necessarily because they intend to hurt you. It could be because they lack wisdom, inner peace, or understanding. Why be angry at a blind man for not seeing the path ahead? The same compassion should apply to those who act out of ignorance. This shift in perspective frees you from the burden of resentment. Their actions lose their power over you because you no longer see them as personal attacks, but as reflections of their own struggles. Anger is self-destruction. This truth is one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn. Anger is a fire that consumes the one who carries it more than the one it's directed toward. Seneca warned, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. What does anger achieve? Does it solve problems? Number, does it heal relationships? Number, does it improve your well-being? Absolutely not. Instead, it clouds your judgment, destroys your inner peace, and leads to regretful actions. When you allow anger to take control, You're handing over your happiness and peace to someone else. Why make it so easy for them to disrupt your life? When you feel anger rising within you, recognize it for what it is: a thief attempting to steal your calm. Pause, breathe deeply, distance yourself from the emotion and observe it without judgment. Epictetus said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." Do not grant anyone that power over you. The path to mastery also involves living by your values, not by others' provocations. When someone insults or provokes you, the knee-jerk reaction is often to retaliate. But retaliation is the path of the weak, not the strong. True strength lies in being guided by your principles, not by the actions of others. Seneca wrote, "It is the power of a great mind to be unperturbed in the midst of chaos. Let others act as they will. You remain steady. Let them hurl insults. They can't touch you if you are anchored in virtue. Their provocations lose their sting when you choose to respond with wisdom and composure." Ask yourself this simple but powerful question: what kind of person do I want to be? Let this question guide your response, not the behavior of others. If you aspire to be someone who is kind, patient, and wise, then act accordingly, regardless of how others behave. Your reaction should reflect who you are, not who they are. In this lies your freedom, the freedom to be true to yourself without being pulled into the chaos of others. This mastery of anger isn't achieved overnight, but with practice, it becomes second nature. Each time you pause instead of reacting impulsively, each time you choose understanding over judgment, and each time you prioritize your values over temporary emotions, you're taking another step toward inner mastery. The world around you doesn't have to change for you to find peace. The only change that matters is the one within you. And once you've mastered that, no one, not the cruelest insult or the harshest betrayal, will have the power to disturb your calm again. One of the most liberating realizations on the path to mastering anger is understanding that no one else can dictate your emotional state unless you give them permission. Anger often arises when we perceive someone's words or actions as a direct attack on our self-worth. But when you shift your mindset and recognize that their behavior reflects their struggles, not your value, you strip them of the power to hurt you. This isn't denial or avoidance, it's emotional intelligence. It's recognizing that you don't have to internalize every comment or action directed at you. Marcus Aurelius believed that much of our emotional turmoil comes not from external events, but from the way we interpret them. Imagine someone throwing insults at you. The words themselves are harmless, they're just vibrations in the air. But the meaning you attach to those words is what triggers anger. Change that meaning, and you change your response. Instead of seeing the insult as a threat to your dignity, view it as a reflection of the other person's struggles. They may be projecting their insecurities, frustrations, or ignorance onto you, but that's their burden, not yours. This shift in perspective is what frees you from the endless cycle of anger and retaliation. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with understanding. You begin to see others as they truly are, imperfect, flawed, and struggling just like you. When someone lashes out, it's often a sign that they are dealing with something unresolved within themselves. Maybe they're overwhelmed by stress, consumed by jealousy, or trapped in a cycle of negativity. By recognizing this, you become less likely to take their behavior personally. Compassion, when practiced in this way, becomes a shield against anger. Instead of viewing others as enemies to be confronted, you see them as people in need of understanding. This doesn't mean you have to excuse bad behavior or tolerate abuse, but it does mean you can respond from a place of strength rather than weakness. When someone wrongs you, ask yourself, what pain or ignorance might be driving this behavior? The answer may not excuse their actions, but it will help you avoid being consumed by resentment. Consider a situation where someone cuts you off in traffic. The instinctive response for many is to honk, shout, or stew in anger for the rest of the drive. But what if you paused and considered that the other driver might be rushing to the hospital, stressed about an emergency, or simply having a bad day? By shifting your perspective, you can let go of the anger and move on with your day, your peace intact. Compassion doesn't weaken you, it empowers you. It allows you to navigate life's challenges without being weighed down by emotional baggage. But what if the person who provokes you does so repeatedly? What if their behavior crosses the line from occasional rudeness to consistent disrespect? In these cases, compassion is still crucial, but so is setting boundaries. You can acknowledge that someone's behavior is a result of their struggles, while also protecting yourself from their negative influence. Boundaries are an act of self-respect, a way to preserve your peace without becoming entangled in someone else's chaos. They don't require anger or hostility, just clarity and firmness. When you live by your values, not by others' provocations, you become untouchable. Think about how often we let others dictate our reactions. Someone insults us, and we feel compelled to respond in kind. Someone disrespects us, and we think we must teach them a lesson. But reacting in this way only gives them control over our emotions. The truly strong don't retaliate. They remain steady, guided by their principles, not by the behavior of others. Seneca once said, "It is the power of a great mind to be unperturbed in the midst of chaos." Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, wind howling and rain pouring down, but remaining calm because you know the storm will pass. This is the mindset of someone who has mastered their emotions. They don't allow external chaos to disturb their internal peace. When someone tries to provoke them, they don't react impulsively. Instead, they pause, reflect, and respond in a way that aligns with their values. Ask yourself this: what kind of person do I want to be? Let this question guide your actions, not the provocations of others. If you aspire to be someone who is calm, compassionate, and wise, then act accordingly, even when others are disrespectful or cruel. Their behavior doesn't have to dictate yours. In fact, maintaining your composure in the face of provocation is a powerful act of defiance. It shows that you are in control of yourself, that you won't be dragged into negativity just because someone else is. Living by your values requires constant self-reflection and honesty. You'll encounter situations where your instincts scream at you to react, to defend your pride, or to win the argument. But victory in these moments is often an illusion. What do you gain by losing your temper or engaging in a battle of egos? More often than not, it only leaves you feeling drained and regretful. True victory lies in maintaining your peace and walking away with your dignity intact. This is why detachment is such a critical aspect of mastering anger. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're not emotionally dependent on how others behave. When you detach from the need for approval or revenge, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of reacting to every slight. You realize that your worth isn't tied to how others treat you, but to how you conduct yourself. And when you embody this mindset, you become a beacon of calm in a world full of chaos. Detachment also allows you to see situations objectively. Instead of getting caught up in the heat of the moment, you can step back and assess the situation with clarity. Is this conflict worth my energy? Will responding to this insult improve my life in any meaningful way? Most of the time, the answer is no. And when you recognize this, you can let go of the need to engage. You can walk away, not out of defeat, but out of strength. This ability to detach is what gives you unshakable freedom. You're no longer at the mercy of others' behavior. Whether someone praises you or insults you, it doesn't alter your sense of self. You know who you are, and that knowledge is enough. You're not chasing validation, nor are you seeking revenge. You're simply living in alignment with your values, and that stability is what makes you truly unshakable. Anger, when left unchecked, can control your life. But when you learn to master it, when you detach from the things you can't control and live according to your principles, you reclaim your power. You become someone who cannot be easily provoked, someone whose peace isn't dependent on the actions of others. And that kind of strength is not just attractive. To master anger, you must go deeper than simply controlling it in the moment. True mastery requires understanding its roots, dismantling the beliefs that fuel it, and building a new way of seeing the world. At its core, anger often stems from a sense of injustice or unmet expectations. We feel that something or someone has violated our standards of fairness or respect, and our immediate reaction is to fight back. But what if you could reframe these experiences in a way that renders anger unnecessary? Marcus Aurelius taught, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending that wrongs don't exist. It's about recognizing that harm only occurs when you give it meaning. Imagine someone insulting you, calling you names, or belittling your achievements. The insult itself is meaningless until you decide that it matters. When you understand this, you reclaim the power you've been unknowingly handing to others. Their words or actions can only harm you if you allow them to develop this mindset. Practice separating the event from your interpretation of it. When someone criticizes you, ask yourself, is this criticism valid? If it is, take it as an opportunity to learn and improve. If it isn't, let it go. Don't waste your energy defending yourself against baseless attacks. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control what others say or do, but you can control whether you let it affect your peace. Another powerful technique is to remind yourself that most people act out of their own internal struggles, not because of you. When someone behaves poorly, it's often a reflection of their pain, insecurities, or lack of understanding. Recognizing this allows you to respond with compassion instead of anger. Think of someone who has wronged you in the past. Instead of replaying the hurt, try to see them through the lens of empathy. What might they have been going through at the time? What pain or fear could have driven their actions? This doesn't mean you excuse their behavior or allow them to continue hurting you. It means you free yourself from the need to carry resentment. Compassion isn't about letting people walk all over you. It's about understanding their humanity without sacrificing your boundaries. When you cultivate this compassion, you shield yourself from the corrosive effects of anger. Instead of internalizing their negativity, you let it pass through you like the wind. But what if you're dealing with someone who repeatedly tests your patience, someone who seems to thrive on provoking you? In these cases, it's crucial to establish firm boundaries. Boundaries are an act of self-love and respect, a way to protect your peace while still interacting with the world. They don't require confrontation or hostility, just clarity. When someone crosses a line, calmly but firmly let them know what behavior you will and won't accept. If they continue to disrespect your boundaries, distance yourself. It's important to remember that walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. The truly strong don't need to win every argument or prove their worth to others. They know that their peace is more valuable than any temporary victory. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." When you feel the urge to respond impulsively, take a step back. Give yourself time to cool down, reflect, and decide how to respond, or whether to respond at all. Another practice that can help you master anger is cultivating gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's right. It reminds you that, despite life's challenges, there's always something to be thankful for. When you're grounded in gratitude, minor inconveniences and slights lose their power over you. That rude comment or annoying encounter doesn't seem as significant when you're focused on the blessings in your life. Imagine starting your day with a simple gratitude practice. Before you get out of bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. Small moments of joy are just as meaningful. Maybe it's the warmth of the morning sun, the sound of birds outside your window, or the comforting taste of your morning coffee. By centering yourself in gratitude, you create a foundation of positivity that helps you navigate the day with calm and resilience. Gratitude also helps you let go of grudges. When you're grateful for the lessons life has taught you, even painful ones, you see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than reasons for resentment. That betrayal or disappointment becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. You begin to view life's difficulties as part of the journey, not as obstacles meant to hold you back. Detachment is another key component of mastering anger. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging to things you can't control. When you're detached, you're able to observe situations objectively without being emotionally entangled in them. If someone criticizes you, you can assess the criticism without taking it personally. If a plan doesn't go the way you hoped, you can adjust without falling apart. To cultivate detachment, practice mindfulness. Mindfulness trains you to stay present, to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. When you're mindful, you can catch yourself in the moment when anger begins to rise. Instead of being swept away by it, you can pause, take a deep breath, and choose a different response. Mindfulness turns reactive moments into reflective ones, giving you the power to act deliberately rather than impulsively. Detachment also helps you understand that not every battle is worth fighting. There's strength in walking away from situations that don't serve you. This doesn't mean avoiding conflict altogether. It means choosing your battles wisely. When you encounter someone who is trying to provoke you, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, walk away with your peace intact. You're not running away, you're choosing to protect your well-being. At the heart of mastering anger is the realization that your peace is your responsibility. No one else can take it from you unless you let them. When you cultivate self-awareness, compassion, gratitude, and detachment, you build an inner fortress that can't be easily breached. You become someone who moves through life with grace and resilience, someone who isn't easily shaken by external chaos. This isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't feel anger. It's about acknowledging it, understanding its source, and choosing a response that aligns with your values. The goal isn't to eliminate anger entirely, it's to master it, to let it pass through you without consuming you. And when you achieve this mastery, you unlock a level of peace and freedom that transforms not just how you respond to the world, but how you experience it. The final step in mastering anger is understanding its temporary nature and the role you play in letting it linger. Anger, like all emotions, is fleeting if you allow it to be. The problem arises when we feed it, replaying the moment that triggered it, justifying our feelings, and fanning the flames long after the initial spark. This habit of holding on to anger is what turns brief moments of frustration into long-lasting resentment. But you have the power to break this cycle by changing your relationship with anger and choosing to let it go. Letting go isn't about ignoring the problem or pretending it didn't happen. It's about releasing the emotional attachment to the event. When you let go, you free yourself from the weight of past experiences and allow yourself to live fully in the present. Think of anger like carrying a heavy backpack. The longer you carry it, the more it wears you down. But the moment you set it down, you feel lighter, freer, and more capable of moving forward. To let go of anger, you must first acknowledge it. Suppression only drives it deeper, where it can fester and resurface later in destructive ways. Instead, face it head-on. Recognize the anger, name it, and understand why it's there. What triggered it? Was it a perceived injustice, an insult, or a broken expectation? Once you understand the source, you can begin the process of releasing it. One effective technique for letting go is to shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on the person or event that angered you, redirect your thoughts to something positive or productive. Engage in activities that bring you joy or help you channel your energy in a healthy way. Physical exercise, meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature are all powerful tools for clearing the mind and calming the spirit. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple truth is the foundation of letting go. You can't control what others do, but you can control how long you let their actions affect you. The moment you decide to release the anger is the moment you reclaim your power. You're no longer a prisoner of your emotions, you're their master. Forgiveness is also a crucial part of letting go. When you forgive, you're not condoning the behavior or forgetting the hurt. It's a decision to free yourself from the burden of resentment. Think of forgiveness as cutting the emotional cord that ties you to the person or event. Without that cord, they no longer have control over your thoughts or feelings. You're free to move on. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, believed that forgiveness is an act of wisdom. He said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, don't let someone else's actions dictate your character. Responding with anger or seeking revenge only pulls you down to their level. True strength lies in rising above it, in showing that their behavior doesn't have the power to change who you are. Part of forgiveness involves understanding that people are fallible. They make mistakes, act out of ignorance, and sometimes hurt others unintentionally. By accepting this truth, you can soften the grip of anger and approach situations with empathy. This doesn't mean you tolerate mistreatment, but it does mean you recognize that holding on to anger harms you more than it harms them. As you practice forgiveness, you'll begin to notice a shift in your perspective. Situations that once triggered intense anger will lose their power over you. You'll find yourself responding with calm and clarity, choosing actions that align with your values rather than reacting impulsively. This shift isn't immediate, but with consistent effort, it becomes second nature. Another key to letting go is practicing detachment. Detachment isn't about disconnecting from life. It's about releasing your emotional attachment to outcomes. When you're attached to a specific result, any deviation from that expectation can trigger frustration or anger. But when you approach life with detachment, you accept that things won't always go as planned, and that's okay. Detachment allows you to see the bigger picture. Instead of getting caught up in minor setbacks, you view them as temporary obstacles that won't derail your progress. You understand that life is unpredictable,